He is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise, ditch the outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. I'm Jay Lee, founder of Sales Ninja, and if you're tired of chasing leads, handling endless objections, and feeling like you have to convince people to buy, you're in the right place. Here, we do sales differently. We believe in positioning over pressure, where the right people lean in without the need for pushy tactics, and that's the heart of the reverse glass selling method. A kingdom-driven approach built on trust, service, and true connection. Lead with value, sales becomes effortless. And when you sell more, you can give more. Today's guest is an author, entrepreneur, and longtime student of success principles who spent decades helping people rethink the way they approach goals, mindset, and personal growth. He built his career in marketing and business development during the early days of the internet, becoming a top affiliate in major product launches and helping entrepreneurs reach large audiences. Today, he teaches practical lessons on eliminating overwhelm, setting meaningful goals, and changing the paradigms that shape our results. He is also the author of My Father Knew the Secret and 12 Easy Steps to Change Your Life, and now leads the Proctor's Principles coaching program with his wife, Corey. Please welcome Brian Proctor. Welcome, Brian, to the podcast. How are you today?
I am really good. Thank you very much for that, Jay. It's great to be here with you.
Thank you for your time and looking forward to diving right in. So for people who don't know, and there is a lot of people that do know, the Proctor family is one that is well known, and you grew up in the Proctor household while your father, Bob, was building a global personal development movement. What was it like growing up? What was the environment like growing up when you were a kid in this kind of a household?
You know, it was a great experience. My father and I had a really special connection, and growing up with him as a father, I think, was a gift. You know, if I was to go back to my earliest days and what it's really like, can I share maybe a little story?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is one of my earliest memories of my father. And as a young boy, and for any parents that are watching or listening to this, you really want to think about this. I can remember if he was home, he was on the road a fair bit, certainly when I was young, but when he was home, he was the one that would tuck me into bed. And I remember as a young boy getting up and, you know, laying into bed, getting all ready, he would come in and he'd sit on the edge of the bed and he'd put his hand on me. And afterwards, he told me that that was just the physical connections that we could, our energies would feel each other. And we'd start to talk about my day. And we'd talk about all the good things that happen in a day. And then he would share with me, I think, better ways to look at some of the experiences that I was going through. And if I was struggling with something that day, he would have me shift my perspective to the good of it. What good I learned from it, and how could I become better because of it? And then he would end it with this, Jay. He would say to me, he says, Brian, you are capable of being, doing, or having anything you want in this life. He says, you're going to have a great sleep tonight. When you wake up in the morning, you're going to have a big smile on your face, and you're going to have a wonderful day. That's what it was like growing up with Bob Proctor as a father.
Wow, that's incredible. I don't know if there's any or many sons who have that kind of relationship, and even if they did, to have that kind of life on life built into them, in that, you said the physical touch is really important, and the listening ear, and the ability to kind of help you think differently.
Right. Well, I look at it from this point of view. It's kind of interesting. My father was given the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill in October of 1961. And that was the change for him. That's when he started to learn the material and really alter his life. Well, I was born in December of 1961. So I was there for the entire ride. And I feel while he was changing his paradigms, he was kind of setting mine. He was giving me a foundation of this material right from birth. And I think that was a gift. That was something that has really shaped who I am today.
That's incredible. And obviously, Think and Grow Rich is a staple for business, literature. So how do these ideas show up in everyday life in a practical way, growing up as a kid and then later on in life, as an entrepreneur?
Well, I think growing up as a kid, I got to witness my father building a business back when the self-development industry was in its early stages. I mean, can you imagine trying to build that type of business with no internet, nothing like what we have today? The way we can reach people today is incredible. Well, back then, you had to go knocking on doors, or you had to make phone calls to companies to try to get in. It was a grind. I got to witness firsthand how my father handled that, how he built his business with the means that were out there at the time. And in the early days, there was a lot of struggles. And what I got to witness was how he handled the struggles. That's a really key thing. And he didn't try to preach it to me. He shared with me what he was going through when things were tough, what he was doing to get through that. And by witnessing how he handled it, it really shaped the way I viewed life and the way I handle struggles.
So speaking of that struggle, and, like back in that time, there was no internet, and, had to knock on doors like that. You worked beside your father for nearly 3 decades. What first drew you into the work rather than choosing a completely different path? Because you could have chosen anything.
Well, here's the funny thing. I actually did choose a different path for a while.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I did. So when I was a late teenager, early 20s, I worked with him kind of like a roadie.
Yeah.
Setting up the stage, doing all these things in the early days. And I had this strong sense that I needed to do something for myself. And so at the age of 26, or 25, I guess, I took the real estate course in Toronto, and I became a real estate agent in the city of Toronto.
Wow.
And I was an agent there for about 12 years, did very, very well, right from the get-go, and really set my own path. Well, during that time, especially in the later years of my real estate career, my father kept trying to get me back into the company, trying to get me into sales and building the company that way. And I hit a point where it was like, maybe it's time for me to leave real estate sales and join my father again, because I'm coming from a different place now. So I did. And fortunately, I did do that, because what it did was it cemented our relationship in an even deeper way. I got to work with him for 30 years.
Wow.
And I was lucky. I took some of the things I learned in real estate and applied them to the seminar business. And one of the big things that I always discovered in real estate, and I know you talk a lot about sales, is that people typically don't stay in touch with their past clients. I found that in real estate. It's truly incredible to me. And so one of the things in real estate that made me a success was I always stayed in touch with my past clients. Just a hello, just keeping my name in front of them. And when I came into the seminar business, I found we weren't doing that. So this is back in the late 90s, when email marketing and quote of the day services were not a thing. And I thought, well, how can I alter the course of our business, in the seminar business? So I started building an email list, and I started sending out a simple inspirational quote every day. And every Friday was an uplifting story. And it was a positive way to stay in touch with our clients. And fortunately, it was a it was a struggle building that. There were not the systems that there are today. Today, that's an easy thing to do and everybody does it.
Yeah.
But this was long before that was a thing. Because we did that in 2006, when the movie The Secret came out,
Yeah.
we were set and prepared for the onslaught of new customers, new clients. Most of the other speakers were not. They weren't set up to capture email addresses at that time. And because of that, it set us up for success. And the business grew exponentially.
Wow. And so, so you're saying that what attributed to that was when the movie came out, you were set up for success because you had the systems, you had the list by then with the emails?
Correct.
Okay.
And we had a way to capture new email addresses from people that wanted to get our material. And it really set us up for success in a big way. Now, here's an interesting little tidbit, Jay, is that my father had worked very hard all his life. And we talk about sales. He was always giving. He was freely giving all the time.
Yeah.
People would ask him to get on a movies or on a podcast. He'd always say yes, never expecting anything in return. But he knew that if he kept giving, something would happen. Well, when he got into the movie The Secret, again, it was just a give. He was just trying to reach more people, get out the material. Well, that movie turned into a phenomenon. It reached millions and millions of people. And because of that, he had all kinds of people searching him out. I mean, then he got on to Larry King Live, Ellen DeGeneres. He was all over the place. We were set up with the systems to receive the good that he was putting out all of his life. And he was 72 years old when that happened. 72. So, he was not an overnight success, as a lot of people think.
Yeah.
You just got to keep putting out the good, and it will come back to you at some point in time.
And you may have answered this, but just to be clear for the rest of the people on the live and the replay, when did you first realize that your father was teaching the world something truly special?
I think I probably realized it in my teenage years. He was always just dad to me, and so that was just part of life. I grew up with that, but I started to see it when I would go to seminars and see how the people responded to them and hear their stories about how their sales would take off or how their business grew because of the principles that he was teaching. That's when I really started to realize there was some magic there.
And so sorry, I'm just bouncing back and forth because I was really amazed with how you guys were ready for the success that happened through Secret. And a lot of people are not usually either intentional, planning and preparing for that. But you guys were, when even before that happened and you struck gold with The Secret movie in the early days of the internet, like you said, we didn't have the technology, we didn't have the email automations, we didn't have AI back then. You introduced the idea of building an email list for your father's business. So what were some of the ways that you were able to continue capturing, you said, the new email list?
Well, I think, today, let's face it, this is a very easy thing to do. And it's something everybody should be doing. I've heard so many times that email marketing is dead, and that is just not true. Email is a very easy way to stay in touch with your clients. I think the key is you have to make sure that what you're delivering to the people that join your list, you're delivering them value. You're not asking them for their business every single time. Deliver value. So, we've got systems in place today that you can put a pop-up on your site or somewhere on your site for some free resources, something of value that people can opt into, and capture prospects that way. Deliver value from the heart, not the I want something back from you attitude, but actually deliver something from the heart. When you do that, boy, your business is going to grow. You're going to be servicing your people properly, and your sales will just naturally increase in a dramatic way.
Now, I don't know if you know the KPIs or the numbers for email marketing that you guys do, or do you have any stats, whether it's like, the open rates, the click-through rates, the reply rates, and how many people are on the email list that, so people can understand. I think people understand that email marketing is available, but I don't know if they believe that it works, like you said before. And then to do it well, which is what you guys are doing, they just really want to know what's the one thing, like whether it's a sales secret or like, because you talked about adding value versus trying to trying to sell people, right?
Right.
A lot of people don't know how to do that without just saying, hey, I got an email list, I'm going to keep selling you and pitching you and offering you something so that you can buy something. What are some of the secrets of email marketing, because so many people don't know how to do it well?
Well, I think the big secret is to deliver value.
Mm-hmm.
Don't keep asking. Keep asking. Deliver value. When we started, I think we started with about 200 people.
Wow.
We started our list with, and it grew to well over 1 million.
Wow.
It grew very, very large. Our open rates were anywhere from 30 to 50%, which, as you know, is very, very strong.
Amazing.
And I think open rates are strong if you're delivering value. People want to read your message. What are you sending out? You really got to think that through. And today, I mean, things are changing all the time. I think today the key is to send out something that's not long and detailed. Send out something short. We get inundated with material today. Let's face it, we live in a world now with 24-hour news cycles, social media pounding us all over the place. So if somebody receives an email, I want it to be something that is going to benefit me if I read it. So is it short and sweet? So it's not going to take a lot of time. And is it going to leave me better because I read it? That's it. That's it. There's no complicated process to it. Are you delivering value? If you deliver value, people will search you out. You can have a link at the bottom that's going to drive them back to your page, that you can sell them whatever it is that you want. But you're purely sending value. You are giving for the sake of giving. That is something that too many marketers are just not in line with today. And I think if we can get in line with giving for the sake of giving, we will return. It's the law of cause and effect. What you put out will come back to you. Now, it might not come back to you from the same place, but it has to come back to you. So make sure you're putting out good.
Amazing. And maybe a lot of people can take this idea, but then, ask the question, what is valuable? So how would you answer, for someone who's trying not to pitch, trying to, take the Proctor principles of giving value, and they don't know necessarily what that not means, but like how to deliver value? If that makes sense in an email?
A lot of sense. And I've got a great answer for you.
Okay, awesome.
Have you ever heard of Rick Rubin?
No.
So Rick Rubin has a book out called A Creative Act.
Okay.
Rick Rubin is a music producer. Really an interesting guy. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The most down-to-earth guy you'll ever meet. Rick Rubin has a philosophy that I am in such alignment with, and this is the secret to delivering a message. Deliver value to what you would want. Make it important to you. Speak to yourself. We will never appeal to 100% of the people. Never. I mean, look at politics. At best, you might reach 50% of the people. So when you're delivering your message, speak to what you would want. When you do that, you deliver value to what would give you value. People will resonate with that are in line with you. So what's going to happen is this: you're going to be delivering value because it's something you would want. And I promise if you'd want it, there are other people out there that would want it. And the ones that will are going to be your ideal client because they're going to be a lot like you. They'll be easy to relate to. They'll be easy to work with. You won't have to work with people that you don't want to work with. They'll be in line with your values. So Rick Rubin, his whole premise when he was creating music or producing music was to produce music that he resonated with, that he really liked. He wasn't worried about, was this going to be a big chart top seller or a monster success? He produced music that he was in line with. And by doing that, man, he became one of the biggest music producers out there.
I love it. So today you run Proctor's Principles with your wife, Corey.
Yes.
What motivated the two of you to create that program?
Well, it's funny. I never thought I'd be doing a coaching program or speaking on stage or being on podcasts. That was always my father's thing,
Yeah.
I was kind of behind the scenes, Jay. But when I wrote the book, My Father Knew the Secret, I
Mm.
started writing that when he was alive.
Mhm.
And my father knew I was writing it. We had a great time around it. We reminisced over different stories. I was maybe halfway through writing the book when he passed away. And, it was not easy. So I continued writing. And when I finished the book and put it out there, the response was overwhelming. It sold like crazy. The messages that I was getting from people about how they got to see what Bob Proctor was like kind of behind the scenes, and really, the relationship that we had and the lessons that he imparted onto me. I thought it was really important that I got to share that with the world. Well, after the book was released, I started getting asked on the podcast and asked on the stage to speak. And something I learned from my father was this: if you want to get the message out, you have to say yes to anything and anybody, because you never know what one interview, what one thing is going to make the difference. So I started saying yes. And as I started saying yes, more and more people started reaching out. And people were looking for more. They were looking for more. They wanted a program. They wanted some coaching. So we created a program called Proctor's Principles that we guide people through. And we have just honestly had the best time doing it, Jay. It's not something I anticipated I'd do. I thought maybe after this book, I was going to kind of retire and that was it. And that's not the case. We're now doing this and really loving it. And we have the best clients in the world because we're teaching exactly the way I'd want to be taught. And it's working very, very well.
So we have a question from the audience. Paul V. Pompeo says, does Brian have any books? And I know you just mentioned one. So can you just restate what books you have?
Yeah, Paul, right now I have My Father Knew the Secret, Growing Up with Bob Proctor, 12 Easy Steps to Change Your Life, Stop Waiting for That Big Thing. They're both available on Amazon. And I've actually just submitted my next book. It's called Quit Screwing Around, This Is Your Life. And I've just submitted that to the publisher. And
Really?
I believe they have the release date for that book in May. And again, I believe you can pre-order that on Amazon.
Okay, so the last one's called Quit Screwing Around. And what was the subtitle?
This Is Your Life.
I love it. That's a great title.
So Quit Screwing Around was actually a statement my father spoke many times from the stage. And it was meant to shake you up, like quit messing around, quit screwing around. Like, this is your life. Do something with it. Do something big. And so that's the premise of the book. So it's a little edgier and it's a lot of fun. And I believe it's a great book. It's going to be, I think it'll be very well received.
So it's a May release, you said?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to put that in the show notes here. So let's put this up and let's see here. Quit Screwing Around. This Is Your Life. It's a May release.
Correct.
And Paul just said he just checked amazing tons of books. So he says thank you. So awesome.
Thank you.
So you were also a top affiliate, and you were very successful in doing that. What sets you apart? Because there's so many people that do this, and it seems like a very saturated environment. How did you stand out, and how did you become a top affiliate?
I became a top affiliate because of how I grew the email list. First part, it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
And so when you can build a larger email list, you've got a bigger following. You can do very well with it. In the affiliate world, gosh, I won, I think, dozens of cars in contests.
Really?
Oh, it was crazy because I was always the top affiliate. But here is the difference. I wasn't selling them. I created my emails in a way that if they wanted to go this route, whatever product it was, I always vetted the products, that it was a good program, a good product, and I would explain how this could benefit their life. And I directed it in a different way. Rather than just trying to pound them with, you need this, I would show them why they may want it. And it worked. It resonated with people.
Now, did you do a lot of different products in terms of affiliates? I know you said you won dozens of cars, which is incredible. I mean, I don't know anyone that has won dozens of cars, so that's how good you are. Was it like different things and different?
So there was two different elements to what I would agree with to market. Certainly personal development stuff, because that was completely in line with what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I also promoted business opportunities.
Hmm.
A big part of what we talked about is building multiple sources of income, and that can happen with good business opportunities. Those were the two types of products that we marketed: business opportunities and personal development.
What was one that you really enjoyed and that really, benefited people and yourself?
One of the great programs that I promoted that I did very well with was with a fellow by the name of Robbie Blanchard.
Oh, yeah.
Robbie Blanchard is he is the most genuine, decent guy. So I really like promoting him. And he shows people how to earn money on ClickBank, which is an affiliate platform. Robbie's very good at it, really a sharp guy, and always did really well by his programs.
Amazing. And speaking about that human relationship and being genuine, what mistakes do entrepreneurs make when they focus too much on making money, making transactions versus focusing on relationships and giving value?
Well, I think the big mistake is probably this: they're so focused on building their business, and they're not focused on giving value. I think you have to focus on giving value first. If you give value, you're going to build a following. You're going to build your business. And too many people are focused on that. I think if we start focusing on value, being that best version of us every single day, not worried about the business that's going to come in, but be concerned about what you're putting out, what you're giving out. If we give out good information and we provide great value, people will flock to us. Too many people get in their head, if they're struggling, they're focused on their struggle. And when we focus on our struggle, man, we're going to create more of it. Start to focus on the good that you can give. Start to focus on how things are growing for you. Stay focused on what you want, the outcome you want. Don't let the struggle dominate your mind. Focus on the outcome you want, and you will attract that to you. But you'll attract it to you by delivering value. That's it. It's not overcomplicated,
Amazing. I hear a lot of coaches and clients that say, we do want to give, and we want to do this, freely, like you said with your dad, just saying yes and yes and yes. And then several of them are like, at what point? Because, there needs to be monetization. It's kind of like a catch-22. They're giving, but they're not able to make money, or they're not able to monetize. What is the, how do you comment? How do you explain that? Or how do you respond to that?
Well, my response to that is you've always got to have an offer. Of course, you can't just give without an offer.
Right.
So always have your offer there, but give. That's it. It's. I'm not saying give without asking. What I'm saying is give and don't ask all the time. But there are times where you do ask. You say, I do have a program. I've got a product that I think you would really enjoy and benefit from. And I welcome you to take a look at this. And if they buy into it, great. If they don't, great. That's it. Don't like I say, don't complicate matters, but always give. Always give. My father taught me something valuable. He was always willing to help out anybody. And willing to go on podcasts, willing to get on stage for people, willing to get on a phone call with somebody. That made a difference. It made a difference. He was on Lewis Howes a couple of times. Lewis Howes is a podcaster, and really, he's very large, really a good guy. Lewis asked my father, he says, when you're gone, what would you want to be remembered for? And when I heard this the first time, I thought, wow, because the first time I'd heard it was after he had passed.
Oh, no.
This was his answer.
Yeah.
He said, I want to be known that I was a great student. I thought, wow, most people in his position want to be known, I'm a great teacher, I'm great this. He wanted to be known that he was a great student. He never thought he knew it all. So if you're out there promoting programs, you're marketing products, don't ever think you know it all. Keep learning, keep studying. When you come from that place, things have to work out for you.
Incredible. You talk a lot about mindset shifts. And there's a lot of people who lack confidence, clarity, communication, are not able to convert to cash and
Mm-hmm.
make impact. How do you help people move forward with clarity, focus, and mindset? Because that seems to be a big part of the Proctor principles, right?
It's a very big part of it. So, clarity is the best thing you can have. So most people, oddly enough, are not really clear on the direction they're going, what they want for their life.
Right.
So the first thing we do is we build clarity. We get you to really zero in on what is it that you do want? What's going to be your driver? What's going to cause you to wake up in the morning and jump out of bed rather than hit the snooze button? So get clear on what you want. And then we help people get clear on where they're going to go, how they're going to do it, and to work on the mindset of not letting current circumstance dictate the way they operate. Too many people do that. And when we let our current circumstance or current reality dictate how we operate, it's always going to remain the same. So get them focused on what the future looks like and getting to see what that is and to start working with that. And, that we work through affirmations, of course, a gratitude practice. Gratitude is one of these buzzwords today that a lot of people dismiss.
Yeah.
And Jay, if we can look at life from a place of gratitude and see the good around us, even when there's crap all over the place, if we can focus on the good, we're actually programming our mind to see things differently. And when we're focused on what we're grateful for, even when things aren't working, but instead of focusing on what's not working, focusing on what you're grateful for, you open your mind up for more good that's already there, already around you, that you're not seeing because your mind is focused on the negative. So we help people shift what they're focused on. And when we shift what we're focused on, we are able to attract opportunities that have always been there, but then actually do something with. And it's been fun to watch. Boy, we've seen people accomplish all kinds of things. And it's simply by gaining clarity on where they're going and to have a lighter feeling energetically about why you're going and what you're doing. And when we open ourselves up that way, we bring in a lot of good into our life.
Incredible. I love that. The whole idea of that, just focusing on the positive, because life is tough. Life is difficult. And, there's things that are thrown in our way with the obstacles that a lot of people become victims. And because of that, they can't get out of the, abyss or the quicksand.
Yeah.
But you're giving a new light to say, you can look at the good, you can look at the positive, which is, very difficult for most people to do. So I think that's incredible. So when someone wants to build success while staying grounded in their values, what guiding principle helps the most?
Well, so I'm going to tell you what my guiding principle is.
Yeah.
And I think that'll cement this here. Stay authentic, speak from my heart, not my head, share what I know, share what I learned, and share how I use it. That's it. I think if we speak from the heart, not the head, we're going to be leading from the right place. Too many people are overthinking. They're thinking this is what they need. This is what they want. We don't know what they need or what they want. Speak from the heart. If we get in touch with our heart, our intuition, we will be guided perfectly. They say that when we pray, we're speaking to God.
Yeah.
Intuition is God speaking to us. And so often people don't listen to their intuition. If we can get more in touch with our intuition, we will be guided perfectly.
Wow. So how do we, okay. And I don't know if you can answer this in this time, but how do we gain that intuition then?
So intuition it's a tricky little animal. Here's how I do it. And I'll tell you this, the last couple of weeks of my father's life, I spent hours upon hours with him when he was in the hospital, just holding hands. And he kept saying to me, Brian, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be gone soon. And we knew it. And he said, keep talking to me.
Wow.
Keep talking to me even when I'm gone. And listen. He says, it can be me, it can be your intuition, it can be whatever you want it to be, but listen to it and follow it. And so that was really his final lesson to me. This is the thing that he drilled into me, was to listen to my intuition. I have followed my intuition perfectly from that point on. And it has guided me to places I never thought I would have gone. Now, it has caused me to step through that terror barrier many times, Jay, but I'm willing to do it because I listen to my intuition. And this is how you do it. You go to a quiet place, you quiet your mind, you quiet the distractions around you, and you ask good questions. Ask good questions and listen for the answer. Now, the first thing that comes to you, that is typically your intuition. All the other things that start to happen after that, like, oh, who are you to think you can do that? That can't be done. Those are your paradigms. Those are those little guys sitting on your shoulder speaking to you about from your past beliefs. Don't listen to your paradigms. Listen to that first voice. Listen to it and follow it. Maybe start with small things. Start with small things, but listen to it. Go to a quiet place, ask good questions, and listen to what comes up and start to follow that. Your life will never be the same.
Wow. I love that. I'm listening, so that's why I'm just kind of personal development has grown enormously over the last few decades, as you have seen.
Yes.
And as someone who has been, in this space for longer than many people and have experienced some of the greatest personal development, where do you feel or see the next wave of, growth happening?
That's a tough question, Jay. You know what? Here's the thing. There are more coaches and personal development people than ever right now. It seems like everybody wants to get into the space. And there are some really good ones, and there are some not so good ones. Here's the deal. If you want to get into that space, make sure that you're living what you're teaching. I see a lot of people that aren't living what they're teaching. They're struggling to pay the mortgage. How can you teach me how to build financial success if you're struggling to pay a mortgage? They're competitive. They're thinking, I got to be better than this person or that person. One thing I learned from my father, he never looked at what anybody else was doing. It was never a competitive thing. And that's the way I've done it. I'm never competing with anybody else. I am just showing up as the best version of me every single day. And you're going to get the best of me. You're going to learn everything that I've been taught over my lifetime. Now, coming from that place, those are the people that are going to keep thriving in this business. I think in time, we're going to see some changes in this business that a lot of the people that are in the space are going to be leaving it because they're not doing well. They're struggling, and they're in the space to earn money, not to serve people. I think where this business is going to really change is with the people that are willing to serve, not worried about the money. The money will come, but they're not worried about it. When we serve, when we truly give from the heart for the right reasons, like I'm here with you today, Jay, and we're just sharing.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for anything.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. That is what is going to change the whole self-development industry. When people are willing to just freely give, those are the people that are going to do well in this business.
Amazing. Before we go into the lightning round, which is a series of questions where I just ask you questions and you just kind of respond to the first thing, intuition that comes to you.
Yep.
I want to ask a really important question that I feel from my heart would be important for the listeners to understand. You had such an incredible mentor, and I would say a lot of men do not have and did not have that kind of role model in their lives. And there's, a lot of father issues that are out there. What do you miss most about it's a two-part question. What do you miss most about your father? And if he were here today, what would you want to talk about, and what conversation would you want to have with him?
That's a great question. So what do I miss most about him? I miss his physical presence. I miss being able to give him a hug. That's what I miss. I miss that deeply. Today, to ask him a question, what would I ask or anything else? I will tell you this, and this may sound crazy. I have not lost my father. He's not here physically.
Yeah.
He is still here. I still feel him. I still talk to him. I still feel his answers. When he was here in the physical form, I was fortunate. There was nothing left unsaid. That's a gift, for sure. But I look at life. I still have a relationship with him, even though it's not physical. I can't hug him now, but I can still feel him. I can still feel his love, and I can still speak to him. So I don't look at life like he's gone. I think he's just changed form. He's in a different place, but he's still here.
Right. Okay. Amazing.
Yeah. So to give you a clean answer on what would I ask him today, I can't answer that because I whatever is in my head when at the time I do, and I still feel his answer. I still feel his response.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
So here we are, finishing off the podcast interview, and these are the lightning round questions. And as you hear them, what intuitively comes to you?
Okay.
Speaking on your lesson. So one lesson from Bob Proctor that shaped your life the most.
It'd be that final lesson, listening to intuition. It's changed my life in the last 4 years.
One book that changed your thinking.
Right now, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
I love that one. Actually, and I just want to mention that there was a question that I missed. Paul says, you're going to make me cry because I miss my dad. Thank you for sharing that.
Paul, your father is still with you.
Amen. So he also asked, what books would you recommend for overcoming obstacles and having a prosperous mindset?
There are so many books out there right now, Paul, and there's a lot of good books. I hope you'll check out my books. I really think they do, especially My Father Knew the Secret. 12 Easy Steps also does too. I think James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, is really good for that. It's about altering little things, little habits, creating new ways of being. That will affect our prosperity mindset. It really will. Rick Rubin, Creative Act that I talked about earlier, showing up as yourself and delivering something of the way you would be. It's a great book. We can go back to the timeless classics, Think and Grow Rich. I mean, that's, it's a book that's been around forever, but it still holds value. It's still a bestseller today.
Yeah.
There's something there.
And just a curiosity, are your books also on Audible by any chance?
They are.
Okay, I'm gonna get all of them.
And I'm the one who's reading them.
Are you really? Okay.
Yeah, I felt it was really important that it was my voice.
I love it.
Yeah.
What's a daily habit that keeps you centered?
I have 2 daily habits that keep me centered. The first one is I actually have a gratitude journal that I write in. So every day I write out what I'm grateful for. That's how I start my day. I look for the good that's around me. When we do that, we put ourselves in a state of goodness. We're looking for the good around us. Boy, you can't help but start to see more good around you when you do that. There's a quote can I read the quote on the back of this?
Yeah, 100%.
So this is by Wallace D. Wattles. He wrote the book Science of Getting Rich back in 1910. And this still holds today. This is what the power of gratitude is. He's got this quote: "The grateful mind is constantly fixed upon the best. Therefore, it tends to become the best. It takes the form or character of the best and will receive the best." So one of my first habits every day is gratitude. I write out what I'm grateful for. I dig in to what feels right. And then I sit back and I close my eyes and I just feel the good that's flowing my way. That's a big thing. The second thing I do is I've got another journal that I write my goal out. What my big what, my big why, what is my what? I write it out every day so that I get centered on what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And by doing that, it keeps it in the forefront of my mind, and it causes me to do things in a day that I might not normally do. Makes a big difference.
And is that the goal journal, is it the same thing or is it changing every day?
Same thing every day. It's my goal. It's my goal. It's what I'm working towards until I achieve it. That's what I write out every day, and it keeps me focused on it. And
what is your why?
Well, my why is I don't normally share my goals, but it's to build a facility where I can host retreats with clients, small intimate retreats where we're in a really great environment. I'm here on the ocean. I overlook the ocean, and I want to build something here that is just in a great environment that we can work with people and and really develop greatness.
Incredible. Well, on that note, you are great and you have impacted so many lives. And the last question that we usually ask every podcast guest is, our goal is to help 1 million people break the cycle of generational poverty by selling more to give more.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to you to sell more to give more?
Well, I think this is what it means to me. Whatever you're selling, make sure you are heart connected to it. That's the only way you're going to do well at it, whatever you're selling. And so to sell more to give more is if you're heart connected, you are going to sell way more, whatever it is that your product or your program or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you're serving more people, you're helping more people. And as you do that, man, everything rises, everything gets better. So it's for me, it's about coming from the heart. Always. I said before, speak from the heart, not the head. And that's the same with selling. Sell from the heart, not the head.
Amazing. And now you also have some free resources that you want to give to the audience.
If anybody, if you go to brianproctor.com, you'll find all the free resources there. We have meditations. We've got some really good stuff there that is just for free.
Incredible. So there's a study guide, there's a letter of gratitude. So feel free, guys, to go to brianproctor.com/free-resources, and that'll be in the show notes as well. I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the incredible time that you've given and the way that you've, impacted so many lives. And I think I've learned so much about giving first, adding value, always, giving freely without, expecting anything in return. The email list was a real awakening for me as well. I kind of know it, but kind of reminded about that.
Yeah.
And there's so many lessons about, that relationship and, coming from intuitive heart that really resonated with me. So thank you so much, Brian, for your time and your impact. And if anyone wants to connect with Brian, you guys can go to the free resources that are in the show notes. He is on Facebook as well at facebook.com. My father knew the secret. And on Instagram, he is on Brian Proctor Official as well. And so thank you so much, Brian, for your time. And I wish you all the best. And thank you so much for making such an impact in my life and so many other people's lives.
Well, thank you, Jay. It's been a real pleasure being here with you today.
Likewise. Okay. Take care, everyone.
All right.
Bye.